calling the Afterlife Hotline, your one-stop shop for all things spooky, weird, and possibly cursed. Press 1 for ghost stories that will ruin your sleep schedule.
Press 2 for paranormal mysteries we definitely won't solve.
Press 3 to speak to a... Just kidding, unless...
If you're still here, congrats. You've officially ignored all the red flags.
And now you're stuck with us. Hope you like bad jokes and spooky stuff.
This is the Afterlife Hotline.
Boo!
Welcome back to the Afterlife Hotline. Press 1 for I'm so fucking tired right now. I'm Denisha.
I'm Ashley.
And somehow I'm here.
Yeah.
Call back to the beginning. This is episode
girl.
15. We're just going to be giving our opinion on some Reddit stories.
Spooky paranormal stories.
Some people have, asked for advice, opinions, potential whatever.
Like, what am I dealing with?
That.
Have you ever experienced this? What could this be?
Ashley made hot
All the fun
chocolate.
stuff. Yes. It is not morning currently.
What's your... Because we got these when we were at the Renaissance Festival, didn't we? What's yours? Is it the tarot card?
Temperance.
Mine is werewolf extract.
Hell yeah.
I knew we had gotten...
Which is funny because you do the potions and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I do have wolfsbane. I don't want to get it. That means I have to get up.
Homegirl is very, very tired today. Not me, her.
I'm
tired, but not as tired as her. She worked today.
I worked at our other job, which today, on filming day, we are usually off of our main job.
Yep.
But we had an event, and I was nice and let her have the day off, and I went and worked it, so.
She's very kind.
But
I'm kind of glad because I didn't go into overtime. And
we also, if I had worked my regular Wednesday, I'd have gone into overtime. But I took off for Hash Brown's birthday.
Oh.
But we also got out of there at 4:05, and it ended at 4.
Who did he have come help you guys?
Dawn and Rock, and we were.
Pat?
So I went to our paranormal encounters.
Okay.
This is from Signal Motor 69, Signal Motor 60 Motor. It's not Signal Motor. It's Signal Motor 6609. Sheesh. Haunted in the Bayou is what it's titled.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm a medical examiner who shares her stories of paranormal activities that have happened in and around my morgue. This case took me to New Orleans. I
see why you chose it.
I actually didn't.
Oh.
I haven't read this. All I saw was the title.
Oh.
So
morgue? New Orleans?
Yep, New
Right
Orleans.
up our alley already.
New Orleans. I had a case of an alleged serial killer. Our victims had the same markings and looks. I had a colleague of mine in that office during the autopsies, so I went to have lunch with her and confirm my thoughts on the case and how to inform the detectives if it was confirmed. They knew of my visit and my suspicions, but we had nothing to be confirmed just yet. We go to lunch in downtown New Orleans. We sit and chat about the case, and once we finished eating, she took me on a tour of New Orleans. We eventually took a road trip around the area. Her friend has this shack in the bayou, just a storage place for hunting and fishing supplies. We decide to go check it out as I had never been there before. It's around 3 p.m. when we arrive at the shack. We're sitting on a little deck area, having a few drinks when I just feel odd, like someone was watching me. Not something, someone. I looked around and there was no one, and I do mean no one. How could there be? The only solid area is what we were on and the path ahead of us. I tried to shake it off, but I really couldn't fully get it out of my mind. I instantly felt a cold pressure on my left shoulder, but I see nothing. She screams a high-pitched scream. I get up and spring about 20 yards, turn around for her to crash into me during the panic. We ended up with such crazy injuries from it. I landed on my right side, fractured my left clavicle where the hand was, and she was mute for 3 weeks. Something that scream shouldn't have caused without any other injury. Who knows what really happened or who she really was, but my colleague swears she saw a woman in white with a broken left clavicle, so her arm was just hanging, mouth open like she was screaming, but was silent. She swears on it, and with her reaction and vow to never go back or within a 10-mile radius of that shack, she sends the assistant medical examiner if she's called for those cases near it. So, this lady won't even go back. She'll send her assistant. I'll never know what she saw besides what she told me, because she is the only one who visually saw anything, but I felt something. Could there be some wild reason as to why this happened? I've tried to find something, but I can't. Help if you can.
Whoa. Okay, so first of all, the girl writing this, she felt the cold pressure on her shoulder.
Yeah, she felt the cold
her
pressure.
Her friend saw
whatever it was.
Put the cold.
Yeah.
Okay, so the girl who wrote this, she also got the hurt clavicle, which is what the ghost had. And then the ghost looked like she was screaming, but she was mute, and thus her friend became mute after she screamed.
Yep.
It's like they...
She gave them her ailments.
Wow. Wow. That's trippy.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Yeah. No.
And the fact that, like, it wasn't typically, because, like, a lot of paranormal stories or experiences are going to be like, oh my God, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, or it was midnight, or, you know, it was late night, nobody was around, foggy. This was 3 p.m.
I'm wondering, and they said they were just, whose shack were they at?
Her friend's shack.
So the friend that was there with her?
No. It was a friend of the friend.
Oh, okay. Okay. So they were at that shack.
Yeah.
So now I'm also curious, since it's in New Orleans, right? And New Orleans is known for being pretty haunted, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it's a ghost that is in that area, or if it could be someone that she's worked on in the morgue before.
Oh.
Because she works in the morgue.
Yeah.
Interesting. And does she work in that area?
I don't think she works specifically in that area, but I do think she gets, because it says this case took me to the New Orleans area.
Oh.
And she took a tour of New Orleans. So I don't think she lives in New Orleans, but she's close by.
So the case that she was working for the morgue took her to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so she has to work somewhere close by, because I don't foresee her traveling very far for that.
Unless she's one heck
of
she very well
an
examiner.
Could be. I mean, shoot. Well, dang. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to that other than that. That seems just like a normal ghosty boy. Woman, ghosty woman.
Crazy, though, how she got the pain in the left shoulder and the friend became mute.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
All right. So this one is from True Scary Stories. It is from Independent File 310. It's titled, I Saw an Identical Copy of Myself in the Woods When I Was 12.
Oh, God.
Exactly as the title says, I saw an identical copy of myself when I was 12. I was living in Pennsylvania getting ready to move to North Carolina. I was living in a townhouse at the time, but one on the corner where there was this huge neighborhood playground and a basketball court. Right behind the playground, there was this field. It wasn't huge, but it was decently sized. And then there was woods behind it. I went out into the field one last time before we had left the house for good. I was wearing this corny pink t-shirt from Walmart that said something about, like, boys being losers. She said, LOL, don't hate. I was 12. Skinny jeans and these weird light-up shoes. As I was walking further into it, I saw it. There was someone who had my exact facial features, wearing my exact outfit, same hairstyle, same birthmark, same everything. I just stared at it in disbelief because I assumed I was just seeing things, but then it started moving. She walked up to me and paused for a moment before saying, "Don't leave." I stopped there frozen for a while, and then she started shaking her head no, before just turning around and walking away. I haven't seen anything like it since, and anytime I tell someone about it, they immediately assume I'm lying. I wasn't tired when this happened. I obviously wasn't high or drunk. I just saw it. It wasn't like a brief reflection I could have seen in a body of water. We were standing around trees and dirt. It creeps me out to think about it, and I still don't know what it could mean. I've thought maybe it's connected to those 2 kids in my neighborhood who always told me they could see and talk to ghosts. And when I asked them to prove it, they started listing my dead family members. Oh.
No.
Oh, God. I would have been 7 at the time, and they were 8 and 9. Neither of them knew my last name. Their parents didn't know my name to begin with. I would just see them at the park, and that happened. They told me how they died, and I later confirmed with my family members that in fact was how they died. I don't know how these 2 instances could be connected, but I feel like they somehow are. I don't know if they would be connected. I mean, obviously, like, trust your gut if you feel that they are somehow connected. But
But I also wonder if it was a doppelganger.
Yeah, and that kind of gives me an icky feeling if it is, because they usually say you don't want to come face to face with your doppelganger, because that usually mean like something bad's gonna happen. Also, it kind of gives me like Skinwalker or something.
See, I was thinking mimic.
Yeah, or mimic. Yeah, or a mimic. And so, I don't know. I would.
Whatever the case, I would not continue talking to those kids.
Yeah, no. But that's strange how those kids being so little, like, I
knew
mean,
exactly.
I mean, there's some kids with that type of gift.
Well, I was about to say they very well could, know things. Mm-hmm. Maybe they had somebody from beyond with them who could answer those questions.
Well, because to me, if they have the power to see ghosts and stuff like that, I almost feel like they could possibly have the power to make her see things, like make her see herself, possibly.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. That is kind of strange, though.
Like a psychic kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. My brain also goes to, like, they know that she's leaving and they don't want her to leave, so they, like, conjure up something that's like her or something.
Oh, so that they have something to remember her by?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know.
But, I mean, that's just
kind of where my brain goes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is another one for teenage, younger years.
Okay.
This is from our Terror Salad, and the user was MM2K.
Okay.
Ghost in my teenage apartment. I, 54 male, want to preface this. I don't preface words. I don't typically believe in I'm leaving all of that in.
As you should.
I don't typically believe in ghosts now, but whenever I was a teenager, 15 male, it was open season. We lived in an apartment building in Toronto, Canada, which was part of a 4-building complex. They weren't new, but they also weren't really old. I was home alone, sitting in the living room watching TV. It overlooked the balcony and I had a dining room light on. Because of this, I could see everything happening behind me in the reflection in the window. This is when I saw the shadow person. They ran from the kitchen through my dining room hall. At this point, I jump up and I run after it. But as I reached the hall, I could see it rounding the corner to my mom's room. When I got to that corner, it was gone. I want to say that I remember it being cold, but it really could have just been chills going through my spine. But this isn't the only time something strange had happened. I was doing homework in the dining room once. With my back to the living room, I had heard the key go into the lock of the front door. I looked up and saw the deadbolt of the lock slowly turn. I jumped up, grabbed the door handle, and threw the door open to scare whoever was there. I assumed it was my mom, and there is nothing like a good bah and an oh Jesus from her. Only once I opened it, there was no one there. Our apartment was right beside the stairwell, and I opened it up just in case they went that way. Nope, nothing at all. 40 years later, I still remember it like it was yesterday.
Yet you're 50 years old and you don't believe in ghosts.
Right, and you've had 2 instances
where stuff has proven it could be ghosts. Also, bold of you as a child.
Or to follow it?
Well, yeah, and to like look out the door and see if what if someone was trying to break into their apartment? Like, you're just like, Merp.
Well, they might have had like a, well, no, because he opened it and then he would have,
Heck no.
Like me in the hotel.
Yeah. Y'all should have been there for that. That was so funny. I've never seen a group of people shut up so freaking fast. Traveling plus sleep-deprived Denisha plus very loud drunken people in the hallway don't mix. Needless to say, they would not shut the fuck up. And Denisha had enough of it, and we had to get up super early next morning to make our next leg of the drive. She goes up to the door and she whips that sucker open, hair all over the place, no bra.
I was mad.
She was already in bed trying to fall asleep, and she whipped that door open and
it wasn't even like it was like 9 or 10. I want to say it was past midnight.
It was past midnight, and all I know is you just hear these people go dead quiet. And then she comes back in, and a little while later, you hear them coming back down the hallway again, and they're starting to get a little louder, and you just hear them go, shh, 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 shh. I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's right. She'll come out there and beat y'all's asses if you don't shut up.
Jesus.
That was great. That was so great. I wish I would have recorded that.
I was big mad.
I would have been too.
You were.
Yeah, well,
Because it was in part me having to deal with them, but also having to deal with her.
me being pissed. Yeah.
And she's very, like,
I
when she's gone, she's gone.
I was not happy. I feel like every hotel that we stayed at during that trip,
Something happened.
like then there was another one we stayed in and we couldn't figure it out for the life of us, but we're pretty sure there was somebody above us in the room above us that had a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, I love dogs, but they were like playing with the dog in the room or something, and it was just loud. It honestly sounded like a child running around
and jumping off the bed.
and it was always as we were trying to like relax and, you know, fixing to go to sleep.
And it's not like we're literally there for one night.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have good luck with hotels because even traveling to Maine with mom and dad, there was somebody on the other side of the wall watching fucking Jumanji, it sounded like, so freaking loud. And then whoever was above us or out in the hallway kept letting their dorm door constantly slam. You don't like me whenever I'm angry.
She's the She-Hulk.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Also, don't like the fact that it was a shadow person, because I see shadows out of the corner of my eye all the freaking time, and that shit's scary because, like, you don't know what it is. Going back to your story.
Oh.
Did you already forget what it was about?
No, but my brain was... It was dial-up going on in here. Make sure you put that sound in there.
She is really, really trying this episode.
I've been up since like 7 this morning, and I had to go deal with a frick ton of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then haul a frick ton of stuff back. It doesn't.
Okay. I was about to say, it's still on over there, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a power saver thing.
Oh. All right. So this one is the Pioneer Trail Creature Retelling. Okay. This is from True Scary Stories, Leo Jr. 4, The Gamer. The story had been hiding for years now, but I need to get it off my chest. So this is a tale to where I thought we were alone until the night I was proven wrong. This is my story of the Pioneer Trail creature, and before there's a lot of grammatical errors, there already was one person, sir. I spent some time to rewrite it and hopefully make it better. Without further ado, please enjoy.
You missed one.
You missed one. Back in 2017, I was still active in my church, and that summer, my mom convinced me to join the Pioneer Trail hike. Honestly, I wasn't thrilled. Something about it just didn't sit right with me, though I couldn't explain why. That uneasy feeling lingered in my gut as we set off. By the time we stopped for a break, we had already trekked close to 10 miles. I grabbed something to eat like everyone else, but the gnawing sensation that we weren't alone wouldn't leave me. I brushed it off, telling myself, don't be stupid, there's nothing out here except us. We continued with our usual camp activities, and that night, after downing a bag of spicy Takis, idea, very bad idea, I found myself making a quick bathroom trip before heading back to the cabin, exhausted and ready to crash. Did your mind go where I thought it went?
I know my limits.
Yep. Note to self, whenever you go camping, unless you are accustomed to sugar-free stuff, do not make a sugar-free dump cake.
Had all of us fucked up.
She knew her limits. That's all I gotta say. Just as I was about to drift off, I heard a sharp crack, a branch snapping. I dismissed it at first, but then came another, and another, and another. My gut twisted. All right, something's not right, I thought. Curious but tense, I pulled myself to the window and peeked outside. What I saw froze me to the core. Standing there partially hidden among the trees was a creature, long, disturbingly thin, its ribs clearly visible under pale, almost translucent skin. It had searing red eyes that seemed to glow against the dark forest backdrop. It moved with unsettling, jerky motions, sniffing the ground and the air like it was hunting for something. For a moment, it had its back to me, but then, slowly it began twisting its body, almost unnaturally, toward where I was watching. I panicked, diving back into my bunk, heart pounding so loud I thought it would hear me. What the hell did I just see? Am I losing my mind? Raced through my head as I buried myself under the blanket. Branches kept snapping outside, closer and closer. Unable to hold it in, I shook one of my cabin mates awake. He blinked at me, confused, and said half joking, "You good, Leo? You look like you just saw a ghost." "I don't know what I saw," I whispered, "but I need you to look." He sighed but agreed. "Okay, but you know there's nothing out..." His voice cut off. "But it's still there. Closer now. Thank God it wasn't looking at us. Without a word, we dropped back into our bunks, yanked the blind shut, and tried to convince ourselves it would go away. The snapping branches grew louder, but neither of us dared to look again. After what felt like an eternity, I mustered the courage to peek, and it was gone. All that remained outside were dozens of broken branches, as if something massive had stormed through the forest. We didn't breathe a word of the creature to the counselors. Instead, we claimed we heard a bear in the night. They organized the search, but only found a few strange paw prints that didn't look quite right. My cabin mate and I, we knew better. We knew what we had seen. Since that night, I've never set foot on the Pioneer Trail again. Thank you for sticking around to hear my story. I have plenty more if you're interested. Let me know if you'd like to hear a few. Until next time, stay safe out there. I'm very curious where the Pioneer Trail is.
I got very Sasquatch vibes there.
But it was a pale creature where you could see its ribs and red glowing eyes.
No.
You are so not here right now, are you?
I swear I was listening. I swear.
You just missed the whole paragraph where I was explaining what it looked like.
I swear I'm listening. I'm here.
Let me look up this Pioneer Trail.
Oh, speaking of, like, because you said something about 10 miles. See, I was listening. Pat had seen an article today where a woman had swam from Cuba to Florida. She's like a professional swimmer or whatever. And so I was like, how long? Because he said it's 110 miles. I'm
Jesus.
like, how long does that? Because I asked him, I was like, how long do you think that took? He's like, I have no idea. I looked up 53 hours. She swam 53 hours. Because my first thought was, how do you not get eaten by a shark?
Yeah.
53 hours.
I would assume she has a crew
Probably,
alongside her. That's insane. I would have already checked out and been like, let me hop on the boat, please.
Two miles in. I'm tired of this.
I wish I knew where this was, because apparently there's many Pioneer Trails. It's giving me Oregon Trail, too. Pioneer Trail is often used interchangeably with the term Oregon Trail, which was a 2,000-mile route from Missouri to Oregon used by immigrants in the mid-1800s.
Was it like a Boy Scout thing? Was that said?
I don't know. It was like a church thing.
Oh. Okay.
But then there's also on here the Mormon Trail, a route taken by Mormon pioneers, members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, from Illinois to Utah between 1846 and 1869. This trail is now part of the United States National Trail System. I have no idea where this is at. But anyway.
Maybe it says in the comments somewhere. Maybe you can find it again one day.
Yeah. But my best guess is it's probably in some sort of like national park or park of some sort. The only thing that's giving me is the things from the forest. Which, if you have not played that game or know
The
of
Forest
that game,
or the Sons of the Forest. So the Forest is the first one. Mm-hmm. Me and my husband, we watched Markiplier play that. So you can watch Markiplier play both if you want to see.
Markiplier.
But yeah, they're really fun. There's cannibals, mutants, you name it.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's giving me.
Yeah.
Especially cannibal. It's definitely giving me cannibal. Because the pale skin with the ribs.
Sunken in.
Ah.
It also reminded me of when I was in Girl Scouts. We went to this, it was called Camp Pretty Pond, but it was more like a puddle because it kept getting, smaller and smaller. But we go canoeing one day, and it's like a mile long pond, like in diameter or whatever. We go canoeing one day. The wind takes us way too far, so we have to get out of the canoes and walk the canoes all the way back. And I just remember them screaming, "Get back closer to the shore. There's fucking crocodiles in this fucking pond." And I'm over here just walking in it.
I remember you telling me about that, because it's like, why the heck would you have children?
I didn't believe them at first either until later on when we went to the mess hall and we were having dinner and I could see like the "don't feed them" signs. And I'm like, are you
why the hell would they have y'all canoeing out in there?
Beats me.
That's a child safety hazard.
Beats me. Weirdos. I did not stay.
They're probably hoping to lose one or two.
I did not stay a Girl Scout very long. In fact, I don't think I ever was officially a Girl Scout because my parents never paid the dues, but I was always with the tribe. I was an honorary Girl Scout.
That's amazing. I'd be making you your patches and everything to make you
I had a vest and everything.
Oh, well, then you were one.
I don't think we ever paid though.
You still got your patches.
Yeah,
That's your badges.
I was the green one, so I wasn't a brownie. I was just a regular Girl Scout.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what the tribe number was.
You should have got a patch for surviving the gators and the
honestly,
in the crocodiles or gators in the pond.
I honestly
Sorry,
don't
Puddle.
I don't think I got very many patches, to be completely honest, either. I was not a very good Girl Scout.
Why do I see you as like Tina Belcher as a Girl Scout?
Yeah. I really only went for the camping. I will say, that's actually where I found my love for archery. Because I got to do an archery thing there once, and we also got makeover. It was the really weirdest thing. I'm pretty sure there's a photo somewhere I can find where we got our faces made, and then we're all posing with the bows.
Why did I not know this about you? In our 15, 16 years of friendship, why did I not know that you liked archery?
I love archery. Haven't done it in
years. I knew Brenna did, but I didn't know you were.
Yeah, haven't done it in years, but...
I got a bow.
Well, then let's go.
That we can go out to the shooting range with.
Anyway. Also, your dad needs to take me to the shooting range. I've never been in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's also a portion there that you can use bows.
I would like to get comfortable with that kind of stuff, given the state of the world that we're in right now.
Yeah, you might get more use out of it than me because my shoulder, I probably can't do it anymore. I never did it in the first place because I got the freaking bow and my dumbass decided to pull it back to look, and I accidentally, my little clippy thing that you put on it to pull it back instead of having to use your finger, it released it and it dry fired it, and it caused the little bead, the sight, to get all misaligned, so I had to bring it back to get it fixed and whatever, and then I just never picked it up again. It's purple.
So I used an actual wooden bow.
Yeah, I would rather use a wooden bow because I'm sure that one was probably a hell of a lot easier to pull back than the stupid fucking compound bow that I have.
Little arm braces and everything. I'll have to find the pictures for you.
Yeah, like the cool ones. Yeah, no, this one's made. Anyway.
So going back to the paranormal.
Ashley using a bow as a paranormal.
You're not wrong. That's scary. I think that's scarier than the paranormal.
Probably.
So this one was from Paranormal Encounters, and the user was Oak, Ash, and Thorn, which I really love that name. Northern Appalachia is just as weird as the South, is the title.
Okay.
A few years back, I live in Berkshire County, Massachusetts. I think it's Berkshire. I want to say Berkshire because I'm thinking of the Shire, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
I'm going to go with Berkshire.
Okay.
County, Massachusetts. Named for the Berkshire Mountain Range. Okay, so it might actually be Berkshire. It's actually a sub-range in the northern Appalachian Mountains, and I assume if you spend any time in the paranormal space, like this forum, you know weird shit happens in the Appalachians. Appalachians.
Appalachia.
Okay. I guess I figured since I was so far north that I was safe from the usual Appy hauntings, safe to whistle at night or walk the woods.
Is that what it says, Appy?
Yeah, Appy.
That's so much easier to say.
Or walk the woods alone, or not to close my curtains after dark. But I was wrong. It was either late summer or early fall of 2020. And my fiance and I were leaving the tiny suburb where we lived to go to a nearby bigger city for cheaper groceries. I figured a bigger city would have more expensive groceries. But I guess it is COVID.
Well,
time.
Sometimes, because if you're in the smaller areas, they probably charge more because they have to.
Oh, true.
I guess it just depends.
In order to get there, we had to drive 20 to 30 minutes, the first leg of which is through a heavily wooded, hilly area. It must have been around 6 or 7 in the evening, still bright out and well lit, though visibility was poor because everything is very lush green and there are so many bushes and trees. We were driving up a hill road with a couple of houses, both sides of the street full to bursting with plant life. The green was super dense and impossible to see into. It was warm, so we were driving with the windows down. Do you not have AC? As we got to the sorry. Like, why would the windows down? Like, is your AC broken?
You're just like, do you not have AC?
As we got to the top of the hill, we heard a strange noise. My partner and I both grew up surrounded by woods and wildlife, so we know deer when we hear them. Some people who are unfamiliar with deer might think they are serene and totally silent, but when deer want to be loud, they can make some haunting sounds. Especially if it's a male calling long distance like it's a long booming honk or a war horn. Think in the family of bagpipes, but with an edge that clearly marks it as an animal instead of mechanical.
My head's going to like elk, like how elks sound.
Yeah.
So probably something like that.
Sorry, this one's a little bit longer.
You're good. Take a sip of hot chocolate if you need to. No rush.
Anyway, we recognized it as a deer, but it sounded wounded. The honk was distressed and wobbled at the end like a deer losing its strength. Unfortunately, people speed in this area, and it wasn't unbelievable that some jackass hit a deer and then drove off without calling animal support or helping in any way. We couldn't see any skid marks, blood, or any body on the road, so I asked my fiancé to pull over into someone's driveway so I could check the dense foliage on the sides to see if the deer had hidden itself. Deer like to hide themselves and their babies, and I, a bleeding heart animal lover and also an idiot, was on the verge of panicking about how we were going to help this injured baby deer. I was already making plans to visit the veterinary hospital in the area that kept late night hours as I began pushing aside bushes and looking around. I had never interacted up close with a deer, so I was making little soft, come here kitty cat sounds, being my only reference at the time. I had searched the bushes on the side of the street with the houses, which was slightly less dense because of the driveways, but I found nothing. Sorry. I checked both ways and crossed to the heavier wooded side and began looking there. I don't have the best eyesight to begin with, so sorting through green was very difficult, and it took me some time. My fiancé was busy speaking with the homeowner of the driveway that we were parked in. He had come out to see if we had had an accident or a flat tire and if we were okay.
That's a good person.
Luckily, I had heard a rustle. My heart dropped as I realized it was right against the edge of the road, in the very first row of bushes. Not an ideal hiding spot for a deer, which meant the poor creature might have been in worse condition than I had thought, and if it couldn't drag itself deeper into the foliage. I moved downhill towards the sound, placing myself right at the crux of the road's turn, a blind corner. The rest happened so fast, but for me, it felt like it was in slow motion. I bent down to move some branches aside where I thought the rustling had come from, hoping that the animal wouldn't run or try to jump at my face. I was so entranced with finding it and helping, I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I had let a hurt animal be behind. I finally cleared to the bottom of the brush, seeing the ground with its leaf litter. Baby deer camouflage nicely into falling leaves and dirt, so I stared into the space hard, but there was nothing there. No shape, no eyes, no movement, just dirt. Still, I felt compelled to stay there, in that position, back to the road. It felt like if I just looked long enough, the deer might appear in front of me. What actually appeared, directly behind me, was a speeding minivan, taking the turn way too fast. There were no sidewalks on the street, no guardrails, there was just a blind turn. A bad driver who couldn't calculate right, and me, right at the edge of this road, not looking. I heard the van, and that alone forced me to rip my eyes away from the bushes. I threw myself back out of the way of the van and into the leaves, tripping backwards until my back hit a tree that steadied me. I had only been a moment and a few inches away from being absolutely creamed. The van didn't even stop, didn't acknowledge me, and didn't even acknowledge that they almost flattened a person. My fiancé called for me. The search for the deer, which we hadn't heard the call again since we had first pulled over, was too dangerous to continue.
Yeah.
I looked both ways 1,000 times, panicking, and jittered my way over to the safer side of the street and the driveway we were in. We got back into the car, listened for a moment more, and then left for a grocery run.
While you're pausing for a second, I know there's still more of the story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why am I getting the feeling that there was never a deer?
Yeah, me too.
Why am I getting the feeling of like a skinwalker or something of the sort that was out there that was trying to lure her to be killed.
Yep. That's
because
the exact
like
vibe I'm getting.
why would something be holding her attention in a certain
And
spot
that
that's
hard.
nothing is there, like giving her that feeling, and literally had she not like brought herself out of it, she would have been killed.
Yeah, no, that's the exact thought process
That's
I'm
giving
having
very
so far.
evil.
My fiance could tell that something had happened, and I believe they had suspicions that something other than just a car was spooking me. I didn't want to talk about it. We were still driving through the woods after all, and we'd have to drive back this way. I kept it to myself, the pull that I had felt, the hypnotic way that I could have spent hours looking into that hollow in the bushes, the way I felt so sure I would find the injured baby I was looking for if I just stayed right there in that spot. And they are emphasizing, I felt sure, and if I stayed right there, that is emphasized.
Yeah. Because they probably know, had they not checked themselves out of that situation, they would have gotten killed.
The way I was sure now as we pulled away that there wasn't and hadn't never been an injured deer, something called me to that spot, and I ignored all of the Appalachian advice I had ever heard. I answered, and I almost ended up a smear on the pavement for it. I don't know why whatever was there wanted to cause someone's death. I don't know why I was able to avoid it succeeding. I don't know a lot of things about the motivations of the old things that live in the Berkshires, but what they are, what they do, if they hate us, or if they're just hungry. What I do know is they exist, and they are dangerous. Every bit as dangerous as the southern cousins, the northern Appalachians may not be popular of a topic, but they are no less old, wild, or vicious than the southern counterpart. I guess I'm posting this because I want people to know that, to remember that. These mountains are older than bone, older than the rings of Saturn, and shit just as old exists here. If we lose sight of that, if we think some miles of distance and different state boundaries protect us, we are walking directly into a trap with eyes wide open. Be careful. Be careful of the Appalachians. Be careful of the Berkshires, wherever you are. And if you hear something call to you, no, you didn't. I had to put that one in there because it's Massachusetts.
It could have been a raven mocker. It says Bigfoot-like creatures believed to inhabit southwest. Oh, this is in Virginia. Well, and can transform into various animals, including an old person. But I mean, it could have been the skinny boys. It could have been, whatever that can mimic, because they never saw anything. She just heard it.
But I will say, because I searched the Berkshire Mountains cryptid, and it came up with Bigfoot sightings, but also accounts of hairy bipeds, large creatures, and even a Barrington beast with a gorilla-like face. And it looks almost as if it's
very much like Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't feel like that was anything of like a spiritual thing. I definitely think it was some sort of cryptoid that was preying on her, because it probably could feel that she was a very or just hoping that someone's gonna stop to the noise that you're making. I'm curious as like how many people probably just kept driving
and
along,
ignoring the sign.
but I think they only heard it because their window was down.
Their window was down because it was warm outside. Again, use your AC.
Yeah, if they had it.
True.
But yeah, that's creepy. But that's so sad though, because then she's gonna be like, every single time she hears something, and then it could actually be something that's injured, and she's just like, oh my god, nothing's there, I gotta keep going. That's so terrible. That's so sad. That's very scary too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That there's actually stuff out there that
is gonna lure you to get you to come to your demise.
Yeah, they
seek your pain.
I don't like that. So this is a very, very, very short one. It's in Paranormal Encounters, Sea Syrup 3373. It's a pretty interesting name. Sea Syrup. Sea Syrup.
And not like sea syrup, like ocean.
Like ocean. Okay. So it says, can animals really sense the paranormal?
I skipped over this one. I didn't open it, but it was...
I mean, it's literally just like this. Yeah. I figured throwing a little short one in there would be good. First of all, before I even read it, yes, I believe animals can definitely
Agree.
sense the paranormal.
100% agree.
So it says 3 years ago, I moved into a new home. Shortly after, we bought a kitten. Within about a month, we noticed the kitten would stare at the ceiling and spit and hiss. We got her checked by the vet and showed videos, and the vet believed she just had beef with the light bulb. But it was only ever in one room. Around a year later, we added a dog to the mix, and within the same room, he would stare at the ceiling and growl. At bedtime, he's always on ceiling watch. We haven't seen or heard anything out of the ordinary ourselves, but I find it weird. Both animals have beef with the same ceiling. Is it possible there's something paranormal within our home? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I believe animals are, the veil with the spiritual realm with them is like a lot thinner than it is for
that's
us.
like in one of the earlier episodes you were talking about how Cairo and his stuff was all in the
Oh
basement.
my God, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even now, like, I don't know, they could probably see a little speck of dust floating around. I don't freaking know, or some little bug that I don't see. But I'll be laying on the bed, and Athena will be laying next to me, and right behind me at the freaking head of the bed is just the wall. There's literally no decorations or anything on the wall behind me, and she's just looking up at the wall, just staring. And I'm like, Athena, and she's just staring. And I'm like, are you just like blankly staring? Like, are you dissociating? Like, like, what are you doing? Why are you staring at the wall?
Right.
It's freaky.
Mm-hmm.
Like they obviously see stuff that we don't. So yeah, I 100% agree that they or believe that they, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this one is my last one.
Okay.
This is I Think There's Something Off About Me by Upbeat Management 33.
Ooh.
Ever since I can remember, I felt extremely drawn to the dead. My mom has told me stories about me crying nonstop at cemeteries from time to time when I was
Aw.
2 years old.
Little empath.
I never shied away from death, and some of my greatest memories in my early childhood are sitting in cemeteries while my mom watched me from afar. Kudos to the mom for letting her do that.
Also, yeah, little spooky kid.
Because I swore I could feel something that wanted me there. In addition to that, I've always had extremely vivid dreams, usually warning me of things that ended up happening later on, or describing things that I had no way of knowing about. My best example would be a dream I had when I was 5 years old about a bombing that happened 2 days later in Afghanistan.
Oh my God.
I would regularly have dreams of my own death, usually involving a fire, which was particularly interesting because I've always been fascinated with fire.
Oh my God. I really hope that doesn't actually happen to them one day.
I hope so too. Additionally, I've predicted the deaths of several animals that several others swore were healthy right up until their deaths. The only way I can describe what it was I could feel death on them.
Clairvoyant?
Clairvoyancy?
Is that what that is?
I think so.
It's clear something. There's like clairaudient, clairvoyance, you're gifted.
Yeah, you
Whoever
got the
you are.
gift.
Definitely gifted.
The strangest things have always been the things I have seen. My mom regularly tells the story about how I once looked at my dad, pointed to an empty corner in the room, and told him that the little boy hates men and needs him to leave. After that, I would mention this boy periodically. In my dad's words, not like an imaginary friend, it wasn't consistent like you were lying or making it up. Up until one day, I was found waving out of the window and into an empty street because they found out who killed his mom so he can go to heaven now. He was 4 years old.
I'm curious if the dad killed him.
Maybe that's why he didn't like men.
Or
The
whoever
mom.
killed the mom killed him.
I've seen other things I've seen other things that others can't. Sometimes shadows of people or animals that disappear right before I can get a closer look. I've been known to get gut feelings about random situations, and I constantly feel energy ebbing and flowing from me. Most recently, I saw something outside my house. It looked like a pointed deer skull peeking around a tree. I looked away, and when I looked back, it had moved. I looked away again and turned back to see the beginnings of a shadowy black neck. I was scared for the stray cats in my neighborhood for a moment. I didn't want to leave them with something that might hurt them. But I got one of those feelings again, like something saying that the cats belonged with or to it and that I needed to leave. So I backed into...
Cats are...
Yeah.
They're
they were the
close to
protectors of
spirit
the
realm.
undead in Egypt. I felt uneasy, but like something was right somehow. There's more examples, but this is already long and it's late and I don't know what I'm looking for. Maybe answers? My mom used to say that something was tied to me and I don't know what to make out of that. Now she admits that all the spiritual shit that follows you creeps her out. She doesn't know what to make of it. Maybe I'm just crazy and making things up, but if anyone can provide any insight, I'd be very grateful.
No, so I'm curious if you're still experiencing those things as you've gotten older, or if that's just stuff that happened whenever you were younger. But regardless, I don't think anything was attached to them. I think that they just had a gift.
Yeah, I agree. I think upbeat management definitely was gifted in some way, shape, or form. Probably still is, because I'm not sure that stuff really just goes away.
Sometimes. Well, because whenever you're younger, the veil between it is thinner, and some people grow out of it.
And some people choose to block it out.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I'm really curious if they still have that stuff happening. Also, as much as I feel like that stuff would be cool, I feel like that would be a very exhausting life to have.
Oh yeah.
But it would,
especially as a kid.
Yeah, knowing about death all the time
and being fascinated with it.
Yeah, and then seeing your own death. I just really, 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 really hope for their sake that they don't ever die by
in a fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this last one I have is I saw something in the sky as a child that has stuck with me since. From Paranormal Encounters, Skew Stevie? Scustevie?
I think it's Skew Stevie.
Skew Stevie?
Yeah, like excuse me, but like
clever. Hey there, I'm not sure if this is the right place for this, but I wanted to share something strange that happened years ago. Something that even as a child, I have never quite been able to explain. I was around 9 or 10 years old when my mom and I moved from the north to the southwest of the UK. We had just settled into our new home and I was starting at a new school. On my very first day, we had an assembly. For anyone not from the UK, that's a morning gathering where the entire school meets in the hall to hear announcements from the teachers.
In the hall?
I guess.
We went to auditorium.
Yeah. Although we did not have those very often.
No, they were usually like pep rallies.
Yeah. Nothing exciting, just them going on about, to be honest, I can't even remember. One detail that always stood out to me, even then, was how close the school was to a major naval base, which was just down the road at about 500 meters away. This particular base houses nuclear submarines and large naval vessels. At the time, I didn't think much of it, but now it feels like it might be relevant. Anyway, I've always struggled with paying attention due to my ADHD, so naturally my mind began to wander. While the head teacher droned on, I found myself gazing up through the tall windows of the assembly hall. It was around 9 a.m., and the sky was a blanket of heavy gray clouds. Then, something strange happened. As the cloud cover began to shift and thin out in patches, I spotted something in the sky. It didn't move with the clouds, it didn't shift, flicker, or pass like a plane might. It just sat there, motionless, in the break between the clouds. A large, triangular object, dark and metallic.
This is a UFO sighting, isn't it?
I figured paranormal, we could just
yeah
throw something different in there.
A little razzle-dazzle.
It wasn't a trick of the light or a fleeting shadow. This thing had shape, 3 distinct points, clean edges, and a presence that felt strange. My first thought as a kid was that maybe it was some kind of satellite or weird military equipment. Could have been. But it seemed far too low, far too clear. It wasn't suspended in space. It felt like it was right there, hovering above us, completely still while the sky moved around it. I remember blurting out something like, "Is that normal?" right in the middle of the assembly. I could just imagine the teachers are sitting there talking. All of a sudden you hear a kid, "Is that normal?" looking out the window. The kid next to me nudged me and whispered for me to be quiet and pay attention. But when I looked back up, the clouds had rolled back in, thick and unbroken. Whatever I'd seen was gone, just like that. I didn't see it fly away. I didn't see it vanish in a flash. It was simply there one moment, and then it wasn't. It stuck with me ever since. I remember it vividly, not just the shape or the silence, but the feeling that I'd seen something I wasn't supposed to. I know it's easy to chalk it up to child's imagination, and maybe that's all it was, but back then, I didn't know anything about UFOs or strange sightings. I had no time frame of reference, and I was just a bored kid looking at the sky. But I saw something, and I still think about it.
His lights weren't on this whole time, were they?
Yeah. Yeah, they've been on.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I believe the person, whatever they saw. Could it be a military thing? Possibly.
I'm going for UFO.
I feel like there's a lot of stuff that the military has that we don't know about. Do I believe it's a UFO? Quite possibly. Because I myself...
To be fair, anything that you can't differentiate technically is a UFO because it's unidentified flying object.
They're UAPs now. Unidentified...
Flying aircraft?
UAP.
Oh.
Something phenomena. I don't...
Unidentified aircraft phenomena? Google.
I'm Googling.
I can't believe I said that with my full chest too. This is my time to go to bed. Good night.
Okay. So, in her defense, it does mean unidentified flying object. However, UAP stands for unidentified aerial phenomenon. So, the technical term is the aerial phenomenon, but flying object is what everybody's going to know.
Aerial phenomenon, this dick, okay?
Yeah. Anyway, I said you were right. Okay, don't get carried away.
I'm not you.
She said, "Take that, Google." Anyway, but no, my dad has had stuff happen, and my dad was in the military, so obviously he's seen some things. Also, side note, I don't know if I've ever told you. I'm sure I've told you this story. It's a very quick little story. We were out at my parents' house. They live in the country. We live in a state, I'm pretty sure, well, we live in Arkansas. You guys already know that. Anyway, so in Arkansas, there is the Little Rock Air Force Base, biggest C-130 Air Force Base.
Pisses me off because it's Little Rock, but it's in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I guess it's because Little Rock's the capital. It's still dumb.
Makes me mad.
It's still dumb. It's located in Jacksonville. Anyway, so my parents' house is in the flight pattern of the C-130s that come around. However, this was years ago, Thanksgiving, late at night, all the families outside, and when the C-130s come over the house, you hear the C-130s. They're big cargo airplanes that come over, and you hear them. Doesn't matter how high or low they are, you will hear them. So I remember looking out on the ridgeline above the trees because I saw something kind of going through the trees, and I look over, and I shit you not, there was 3 lights in a triangular going sideways, kind of like a plane would. Nothing was flashing. There was no sound.
I think you've told me this story.
Yeah. No flashing, no sound, because a big indicator for a plane is the lights are flashing.
Yeah.
On it. But it was in a triangular shape. And I didn't say a single word. And I looked over, and my cousin was there, and he looked at me, and I was like, "Did you just..." He goes, "Did you?" I said, "Uh-huh." He goes, "Uh-huh." So Evan and I both saw that. Have no freaking clue what it was. Not saying it's a spaceship or some sort, but it did not make a single noise, and it was low enough to where we saw it just
moseying on down.
And I want to say this is before drones became like a super huge thing for just like the normal people to get and stuff like that. It could have been something from the military base. I have no freaking clue. But like I said, it was at night. Stars were out. I have no freaking clue what it was.
Well, what makes me Google is, again, we live near an Air Force base, and there's this TV show. It's called Baggage. It's a show. It's a dating show, and you can decide if those contestants' baggage is too much, or if you're willing to take that baggage on. And then at the end, they get to decide if your baggage is too much. And one of the guys lives in Arkansas and is like, "I believe that I see UFOs nightly," and he lives on the base.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, he might.
He very well might.
Because
or he lived.
What better area for UFOs to go through
than an Air Force base?
Than an area where you're going to least expect them. You're just going to think they're planes. I don't know. I don't know how y'all feel about UFOs, but I plan on talking about them a little bit more since we do all kinds of the paranormal stuff, and I find them very interesting. So, but yeah, there was a documentary I was watching on YouTube too about a guy, and he lives in Canada, and he has all the video proof of UFOs that he was seeing, and he cannot tell you like what these things are. And like he also has videos of planes going across because he's in some big city in Canada.
Toronto?
I don't know. I'll have to send you the video and see what you think about it. But you can clearly see what's a plane that goes over and what is definitely not a plane. And so
Vancouver?
I don't really know.
Those are the only 2 Canadian cities that I can remember right now.
I will get back to you on that because I really don't know. And then Steven's
Quebec. I'm just naming countries or cities right now.
I wish I remembered.
Sorry, no. At this point,
I don't remember.
I'm just naming things
You're
when they're
good,
coming
you're
to
good.
my
I'm
brain.
sure it's one of those. I have no freaking clue. And then Steven was obviously talking about a YouTube channel that debunks things, and I'm just like,
let us have our whimsy.
they were even trying to go through and debunk some like Bigfoot stuff, like the Stacey Patterson film. They were going through and debunking that, and I'm like, I get it where you can think like certain things would be a human, but at the same time, like if you've never seen a Bigfoot, how would you know it's not actually a Bigfoot?
Right.
But they just kept saying like everything was a human, everything, even UFOs, everything was a human, everything was somebody made. But granted, now these people do like special effects videos and stuff like that, so they can pick out obvious fakes and stuff. But some of the stuff, I'm just like, that's just your speculation on if it's actually fake or not. But you don't actually know if it's fake or not.
Well, because that's the thing. Like, you can tell if something is AI or CGI or special effects.
Yeah, because like one of them, they broke down the frames and they were able to see where whoever had. And it was funny because one of them was actually created by somebody who worked in their office just to see if he could throw them off. Yeah. And they broke it down frame by frame. And I'm like, okay, they're like, okay, this doesn't match up with this and the amount of speed that it should go through. Okay, that's actual like evidence that that's fake. But some of these things, you're just like, that looks like a human walking in a suit. But you don't know that. You don't know. You don't know.
Between the things we fear and the things we don't know, there are nightmares. Just kidding, that's not it. Between the things we fear and the things we know, there are doors. When they are opened, nightmares become reality.
What is that from?
A Haunting. It's the intro from the show.
Oh,
it's a show literally all about paranormal, like ghost experiences and stuff like that. I believe it's on Max, so you can binge it if you want
Haunting?
to. Yeah, it literally. I used to.
Is that one of the older shows? Mm-hmm. I had to have seen that then,
because it used to be on the Discovery Channel. And stuff like that.
I think I used to watch that over at Gigi's house.
Binge that shit all the time when I was in North Carolina.
I feel like the older shows were like the better shows.
Yes,
to be completely honest.
And I still watch A Haunting. I'll still pop that on. Have I seen the episodes a million times? Yes. Will I still watch them? Yes.
It's a comfort show.
Some of my favorites are when they're like, oh my God, she was recording the ghosts and she's got her phone, but meanwhile her phone is like literally just on the apps.
See, and it's stuff like that where you're just like, okay.
Like, if you're going to reenact. But anyhow.
Yep.
Goodness me. Also, I finished my hot chocolate. I got a little bit.
I'm almost done.
I finished my hot chocolate. It was delicious.
Woo!
So that is episode 15. Reddit stories that we give our input on. We will be back next week with I don't know what yet. We never know. We just kind of play it by ear. Eventually, we're going to get on some schedule, though, and we'll have a bit of...
We'll figure it out, but at least we're
chugging along.
I think we've only missed 1 week.
We've only missed 1 week.
But we're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. But until next time, press 2 if I'm going to take a nap when we're done with this.
Yeah.
Actually,
get ready
I'm going to do laundry. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do laundry. And then...
This is your sign. This is your sign right now. Drink your water. Take your meds.
Brush
do
your teeth.
laundry. Brush your teeth. Take your shower.
Unclench your jaw.
That too.
Stretch those muscles.
Yes. And chill the fuck out. And have a great
self-care
day, night, medium day. That's called afternoon, Ashley.
Medium day. I like that better.
Or noon. Medium day. It's
medium day. I like that.
Okay.
Take care of yourself.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Signing off.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for calling the Afterlife Hotline, where the ghosts are chatty and the hosts are, well, questionable at best.
Press 1 to replay this episode and question your life choices.
Press 2 to summon us back next week. No Ouija board required.
Press 3 to hang up. But let's be real, something's probably still listening.
That's it for this call, but don't worry.
We're like ghosts. We always come back.
Until next time.
Stay spooky, stay weird, and maybe don't answer that strange knock at your door. Goodbye.